Today on Bill of All Trades, I'm going to show you the top 10 tools that everyone should own. Alright, so whether you're living in an apartment or you have your own house, you're in a condo, you live in a motorhome, a trailer, whatever, there are certain tools that everyone should just have lying around. Even if you're a man, a woman, a college kid in a dorm room, it doesn't matter. These things are going to be useful to everybody and they help you accomplish certain tasks. So the first tool, probably the most essential one, would be a hammer. Make sure you get a claw hammer. Don't buy one of those ball peen hammers that are this big, right? Get a decent hammer. Whether you're hanging a picture or removing a nail or even demoing something, like taking down some drywall or something major, a hammer is one of the most used tools in any person's toolbox. Get a decent hammer. You don't have to pay a lot for these things. Like all of these tools here, I'll tell you at the end of the video, I'll tell you a great place you can get all these really, really cheap. And they'll work. So get a decent hammer. You need a hammer. The next thing I would say would be really important would be a good tape measure. Right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a fancy tape measure. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it, right? But get a tape measure. If you're hanging a picture on the wall, you're going to want to measure where that picture is going to sit. If you're buying a bed or a couch or any big piece of furniture, you might want to measure it to make sure it's going to fit where you want to put it, or even fit through the door or the area of the house that you're trying to drag it. A tape measure is essential. You want to know how big things are, and if you're doing any sort of projects where you're building anything or modifying anything, a tape measure is essential. Now, if you're going to be doing any sort of projects around the house, you're going to come across the time where you're going to need to cut something, right? You may not be doing enough projects that would warrant buying an expensive saw, like a miter saw or a table saw, bandsaw, or anything like that. But a hacksaw is going to get you through pretty much almost everything you want. Like the blade is designed to cut through metal, so if you need to cut through a pipe or something along those lines, perfect. If you got to use it to cut a piece of wood or get something, just shave something down a little bit to make it fit, a hacksaw will get you there. Like this is going to cover a lot of things. Like if you have a piece of trim, if you're putting up crown molding and you need to cut something just to get it to fit, hacksaw is going to make it happen for you. The next tool I would say, and I don't have my battery on me right now, it's charging, but is a good drill. You don't need to spend a lot of money again on this. This is a Ryobi. This isn't like the top of the line drill or anything like that. It works. And along with that drill, this is another tool. This would be, I consider this the same tool. You need drill bits. Now, you need some of these. These are what go in the end of this to make it do things. You can get screwdriver bits, you can get hex bits, you can get all sorts of different stuff. You also need to get some drill bits, some actual drill bits so you can make holes. You can cut holes into things with this. But a drill is essential. Okay, you're going to be screwing and unscrewing things all the time. You want one of these to help make that a little bit faster. Now the fifth thing you need, obviously, is going to be a screwdriver, and I'd recommend one of these guys. This is a 4-in-1 screwdriver. Now you can take the bit out here and flip it over. You got a Phillips and a slotted on each end. The other end is a smaller one. Mine's actually, to be honest, this is a really, really old screwdriver. It's rusted. I can't pull it apart anymore. I've had it soaking in WD-40 for about an hour and a half before the video and it still won't come. But for the average homeowner, this one screwdriver is going to handle all your needs. Get this, because you don't want to be using a drill to change the plate that goes around your light switch, that plastic plate there. If you're screwing it in with that, you're going to crack the plate. You don't want to be dealing with something this big and heavy for such minor little work. Get a good 4-in-1 screwdriver. That'll get you through most of the tasks you need with a screwdriver. Now the sixth tool I would recommend you getting is a set of these. Now most people know these as what's called a channel lock, but what they're actually called are slip joint pliers. Okay, They're known as channel locks because the company that makes them and what they're known for is called channel lock. They don't lock as what you would think the name would say, but what it does is it has these different grooves here. These are the slip joints, right? So you can open this up and slip it into one of those grooves, and now you can grip a different size object here, right? So this is good in a pinch for grabbing pipe, for grabbing big bolts or nuts that you need to do. You need to grab a hold of. Sometimes working on a car, this comes in handy, right? So you can grab all sorts of different size things depending on where you're sliding at, right? Okay. Now I wouldn't recommend using it for a bolt, but in a pinch, that's what you can do, right? So here we have a bolt. You always want to make sure you use the right tool for the job. This will grip it. See? That'll grip it. But what you run the risk of doing is rounding the edges off of this bolt. Like if it's in there really good, you could strip it and round the edges off, and that's not going to be great. But in a pinch, this will work. Now along the same lines, we have vice grips. These are called vice grips because they lock down like a vise on whatever size object you want, depending on how big the object is, right? So you have this little adjustment screw right here, and this, if you watch this as I spin it, it's getting bigger and it's getting smaller, right? So this, and then when you lock it down, it stays locked on that thing, right? So when you tighten it real good, like it's like a vise and it clamps down on it. And to release it, you just hit this little fella right here and that'll release it. To give you an example, we're gonna use this bolt again. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna lock it and then get it to the size you want that's gonna fit on there. Screw it down so it's tight. You can't do it anymore with your hand. You're gonna release it. Then if you really want that thing on there nice and tight, give it another turn. And then you can put it in there and squeeze down really hard, right? That isn't going anywhere. Look, I can hold this up by it. It's tight. That is on there good. So these are super useful working around the house with different projects, different things. Vice grips are essential. You gotta have a set of vice grips. The 8th tool that I would recommend getting is a good socket set. Now this is a pretty big expensive one. I've had this for probably going on 10 years now. And you don't need anything, you don't need as many sockets as this one has, okay? I'll open it up and show you here, but this comes with wrenches and everything in it. You don't need all these sockets. This is a pretty extensive list because I work with a lot of tools. I work with my hands a lot, so I wanted to get a nicer set. And by all means, this isn't the biggest set of all. Now I know it's filthy, I know it's dirty, you can see some rust in here. I've had this, like I said, for years. It's been left out in the rain. Everything still works in it. They're great Craftsman tools. I love Craftsman tools. This is no way a sponsored ad for any of these tools. I haven't been paid to say any of this. It's just what I happen to have. This is what I'm using. I really like these tools. So they all still work, and the beauty with these Craftsmans is I can take them back if they stop working, if they're broken. You bring it into the store and you say, this tool broke. If they don't have that exact one, they give you the next best thing. So yeah, you gotta have a good socket set. Now I got a lot of extra stuff, as you can see in this one, added in. These are just tools that I've acquired over the years that didn't come with the set that I feel like I will lose if I don't keep them in here. Socket set, essential. Now, tool number 9, an adjustable wrench. If you don't have a wrench set, you gotta have an adjustable wrench, okay? So this fella right here, if you see this little dial here, if you move it, you can again make it smaller or bigger to fit whatever bolt you need. So if you don't know what size a bolt is, a lot of these even come with the measurement on it in metric and standard size over here. So if you're trying to figure out what socket or wrench you need, just put this fella on there. And there you go. You can hold that in there. The last tool I would recommend you getting is a flashlight. You can get a really good LED flashlight, pretty cheap, just about everywhere now. You wanna You want a good flashlight because you're going to be working in places that's dark sometimes. You're going to be under the hood of a car and you can't see what's going on. You're going to have a flashlight in there to help you out and let you see what you need to look at, right? You're going to be working in an attic or a basement. You're going to be working behind a TV where there's not a lot of light. You're going to be working in places where there's not a whole lot of light. And you're going to have to use the flashlight to see what you're doing. Get a decent flashlight. I just got this for Christmas, and I mean, it's super bright. It uses a couple batteries. I mean, here's an example. I mean, it's broad daylight. You can see this thing, and you can focus the beam to be as broad or as straight as tight as you want. So like, see that square in the wall? That's the actual LED inside the flashlight. That's the shape of that LED. Like, that's how bright this thing is and how focused you can make this beam. It's ridiculous. And then you start pulling it back, and you got a big old beam like that. So get a good flashlight. You'll be glad you did, especially if the power goes out. So you may be wondering, where can I get all these tools? I don't have a lot of money. I need to buy these tools, but I don't want to spend a few $100s trying to do that. So a good store that I always really liked was Harbor Freight. Now, they don't have the greatest quality stuff, but if you're not using them every day like a contractor would be, they're gonna be just fine. They're gonna last you for years. You can get a lot of this stuff. You could probably get everything on this list that you need for maybe 50 to 75 bucks tops, maybe even less than that. And again, this isn't a paid promotion for Harbor Freight. I just like to go there to get certain tools because you can get them really cheap. They have great tools there, and like a lot of things like that tape measure, for example, if you spend like 30 bucks, 50 bucks at the store, they'll give you a free tape measure or free batteries. They have all these promotions that they're always running. They send out a catalog every month as well with the deals that they have going in. So look up for your local Harbor Freight. You can get a lot of good stuff there. They even have a lot of power tools there that would be great for a lot of people. So thanks for joining me here today, guys. Appreciate all the views and comments, the likes I've been getting so far. Again, this whole channel is about helping the everyday person fix things around their home, whether that be an apartment or a house, a condo, what have you. We all live somewhere, and we all have little projects that come up. It might be a craft that we want to build something for somebody. It might be repairing something around the house. It might be changing the oil in our car, which we'll get to here soon. Lots of projects coming up. I'm actually starting to get requests from my neighbors to do projects for them. So I've got a lot of different variety of things coming up for you. I'm really looking forward to showing you guys some more stuff. So again, if you like this kind of stuff, if you want to learn how to get better at troubleshooting, at using tools, at building things or repairing things around the house, subscribe to the channel. Just subscribe below. Give me a thumbs up as well. Leave me a comment. Give me some ideas of some things that you'd like to see. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.